Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Florence Armein. You might have seen me running around the room, but right now I am moderating this most exciting and anticipated session. Why do I say that? Because we're going to talk about education. We talk about the transformation and reformation of bureaucracy, infrastructure. We talk about transformation of digital economy, but at the core of it all is really education, as how we prepare our young ones, better equip them to face future jobs. Now that, I think that it will be the core topic for today. We will have very distinguished panels to talk about it. But before I introduce you to the panels, I just like to saya akan membuka sesi ini dengan quote dari Nelson Mandela yang mengatakan pendidikan adalah senjata yang paling kuat untuk merubah dunia. Education is the most powerful weapon of which you can change the world. To change the world, but we're not changing the world, it is changing.
Selamat sore Bapak Ibu. I think the moderator has done with the introduction, so I don't want to do a long introduction for the ExtraMarks later on. You will be able to see it from the presentation. So I would like to give applause also for the Indonesia Economic Forum. I think they did a great job by choosing the topic and also the idea. Is actually about the Indonesia for 2045. It's a great idea, but I believe later on the discussion, this panelists, we will have a very great discussion that we will do here. What is the Indonesia? Imagining the Indonesia in 2045. So first is about the poverty line that they are talking here. And secondly, they also mentioned about the modern manufacturing, which is the last one. Also the quote from them is a country with employ well-paying jobs and the global talent are plenty. So it's like 1 million question, $100 or 1 million question, I think. So after I read that quote, it's basically the first question is how do we get there? And the first answer is come to my mind, and I believe that everyone in this room agree, it's actually about the human resource. So speaking about the human resource, it's like the key factor to how do we get there for the Indonesia in 2045. Next. And the more interesting is actually for the second one, which is on the right, is about the landscape of the resources that Indonesia has. So I think the moderator was saying that the industry or the professional is changing, but I would say that it is moved. It has reduced the portion, so instead of the cheese is missing, but it's actually the cheese has moved. So from those background is actually the first one is Indonesia in 2045, and then come to the key factor which is goes into the human resources and how to improve that. So just want to give also the perspective, because now if I think Bapak Ibu is familiar with the kids zaman now, so they are no longer carry the book now, but it's actually they learn from the website and also from the internet. So three things that I want to bring for the landscape of Indonesia. And the first one is about the teacher. If you guys are familiar with the things that happened in back then in the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the first question that asked by the Japanese is how many teachers that left after the bomb? This is just want to show you that how important the teacher, how the teacher will influence the country itself and change the country. How about the digital learning itself? Because I mentioned on earlier that we have like Indonesia in 2045 and then go to the resources, the quality of the resources, and how to improve that education so we will have a good quality of the human resource. Student is no longer passive to receive all of the learning process. While it's like a one line is only from the teacher to student, but they love to have more engaging into a learning process. And finally, then I think that's all about how to give the intro before we start the panel here.
Oh, we have Sumegh Kumar sebagai Managing Director of ExtraMarks Indonesia yang akan berbicara tentang ExtraMarks secara lebih global.
I look after all the international markets within ExtraMarks, and my focus right now is in Indonesia. As a company, we have been around for over 10 years, and we're trying to change the way education is happening in K-12 segment. We are trying to move away from the traditional methods to one which are happening in the global scenario. So it is critical to understand that, yes, the information is available on the internet, but is it the right way? Is everything applicable for them? Especially when we talk about students in K-12 segment, the young minds. So with the devices being a part of our lives for the years to come, how do we ensure that we keep them in a way which is in a constructive manner? We know that the students are playing games on VR or AR-enabled technology, but can we have that in education itself? Can we do that? And if we can, then imagine the possibilities. So for example, a medicine student today will be studying maybe by dissecting a body or maybe by doing on a real life. But can we do that in a virtual environment? Is it possible? No. Now, when we talk about virtual environments, a student in a rural area may not have access to these resources unless they are virtually or digitally. So we can then also talk about getting everything together in one place, and irrespective of where he or she is living, he will still have access to the same quality education. So that's another part of technology that we should all be harnessing. It's happening globally, and I think it's high time we have the same things happening in Indonesia, especially with the focus of 2045. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Very good morning to all of you. Thank you, Bapa Ilham Habibie, Bapa Shoaib Kagda, for giving this wonderful opportunity to be here and to discuss imagining the future and to understand Indonesia for being in Indonesia in 2045. So we had been discussing this since yesterday, and I understand that education is the main focus for this country. So when we talk about the future, it is very important that we talk about the past and we talk about the present. The means of teaching and learning are also changing. So let me tell you, like when I was in school, so teachers had a different way of teaching. So they will come, suppose they are teaching biology, so they will come, they will unfold a chart and they will explain this is intestine or this is a liver and this is how it functions. Today's student is not willing to learn through a chart. And today's teachers are also not willing to teach through a chart. The modes of teaching have changed. Everything has changed so fast, so rapidly. So at ExtraMarks, we had been implementing technology not only in schools, but after the schools. And we have successfully implemented it in India and in South Africa and many Middle East countries. And I'm very proud and very happy to be here in Indonesia and to partner with Barkaria Indonesia to take this mission forward, which will, I think, immensely benefit the students of Indonesia. This is how the education delivery in future is likely to happen. So we are going to fulfill the need, learning need of every child at every corner of the world. Thank you very much.